extended out toward this small valley. So suddenly this becomes a reasonable thing that Homer is describing. However, to get from out there into the Grand Canyon, you'd have to move an awful lot of rocks. And of course, one of the early things they did was to decide you couldn't take tourists in that way. So they dug near the sandstone, the present entrance into Crystal Cave. But if you look on the left, you can see the Grand Canyon did extend back that way. And as I say, it's fallen in, and you can see the walls with its fluting and ripple marks extending out into that valley.
Cave Research Foundation early on was very interested in the history of what was going on. Crystal finally closed in the spring of 1960, and so CRF remained because they were doing scientific research there. And the interesting thing is that when Mickey starts with a reel-to-reel tape recorder, went around and got history from a lot of these people, the old-timers, Ellis Jones, Lyman Cutliff. Well, I happened to be there the day in 1963 on the summer expedition, 63 or 64, when Mickey had Lucy Cox come over and interviewed her. And Lucy was really with it and really knew the history and was very interested that this was recorded accurately. And at the end of this, she was a rather vivacious, thin, zippy lady. And at the end of this, Mickey said, Miss Cox, where might there be any other place we can look for cave passages in the cave? And she says, oh, just to the left, a short distance in. And we said, well, our map showed, CRF's map showed you go past the formations, there's a little passage to the left, showed it stopping, showed rocks piled up. And so after she says, oh no, that goes way back to some pits. We didn't know of any pits. Well, after she left, we all got our gear. I was on that trip. And we went out there, and yes, there was a hole down. And so we crawled down this hole, then dug the upper passage, looked like they'd dug it just for fill. Dropped down this hole, and pretty soon we're in some canyons and clambering around as clear the old-timers had been there, and we didn't go more than several hundred feet and came to two big, double 90-foot pits. These were big pits, and I was there. We surveyed that, about 35 survey stations. We stayed above it, then Fred Bennington and Don Black and others went back and did the pits. So we always, CRF, remember, so just it stopped, and we're a little tight. And Lucy Cox was right. Boy, there was some cave out there. We still had people out there finding more cave. Here in the past couple of years, as all that's being resurveyed. A neat lady, and we have her.
Herman must have been a small man that went where he did.
Yeah.
Get back in some of the crevices.
It's hard to tell on the picture of Salt's. He's standing there, he's got so much canvas-like clothes.
Right, yeah, heavy-duty stuff.
Yeah.
And most of the pictures you see of him, it's the same outfit. Well, all the pictures in Randolph's book, it's all the same clothes. Like they're all taken on the same day or something.
And that's the only known photos.
The only ones I know of.
Just confirm.
I'm sure there's others, but where?
I was talking.
Richard Hobart maybe knows.
I was talking to Dick back there, who said Edmund Turner wrote an article. Were you telling me about that?
Richard knows. Yeah, who knows all about that one?
Oh, speak up.
Yeah, Turner wrote an article. It was for June 25th, 1914, and I can't remember off the bat. It was called Youth Cave Adventure, and it was quite the article. I didn't know that he was actually a writer, so I'm just curious. It was for, I can't remember, Youth Companion magazine. So I'm figuring that he might have some more stories out there since he wrote one. And what's interesting about that, because he talks about finding cryonics, or at least close to different caves, through air passages through the summertime and also through the wintertime where he knows what he's looking for. But what gets me, I'm sure there's other stories that he wrote for. And he talks about going in this cave, which is classy. He goes down and he can't get his way back. And he goes back into this cave and he comes across moonshine still at an entrance. So this is where the story with the flashlight and all this stuff comes out, because the moonshiners, which I don't know, they had a flashlight that they're shining to him, but he realized that there is flashlights were being used at the turn of the century. So he might have had a flashlight, who knows? But I think it's interesting, him being, every time to be an explorer, it's a really good story, that he actually was a writer. And I don't think enough people know about that one.
I've seen that story, it's like in a magazine.
Gordon has the original.
That's why I got the copy from him.
Gordon, do you think it's the same Edmund Turner? Or could someone have just taken it?
I have the original article.
I looked at,
Be happy to copy it for you.
I looked at that, I wasn't sure whether someone had gotten information, put together a popular article and put his name on it, or whether it's really,
Hard to
whether
tell.
someone had interviewed Edmund.
So, I don't know, the way it, 1914 it was written, it was June 25th, 1914 magazine. So, no, I can't believe,
I think I have.
no, something was going on before, he was, besides collecting Indian artifacts and taking them back, why would they even use his name? That's pretty, it talks about being in Mammoth Cave area, Green River, and all this. It was this area where it was written at, so it wasn't construed from anywhere else.
Well, I always thought that the cave that he was talking about was Dawson Dome, because he entered through a crack in the top.
Yeah, the real descriptive.
Yeah, it sounded like Dawson Dome.
Talking about this area.
So he opened it up, so maybe he did write about
The
it.
original way into Great Onyx is sort of a crack you drop down into,
Yeah.
but it's only a few feet.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that book, Life and Death of Floyd College, it mentions in there, Homer had mentioned that when he stayed with the college, he did a lot of writing. I think that sentence
Yeah,
is
that's
in there.
right.
And so, that caught my eye when I read it, and I thought, well, what was he writing? So it very well be he was writing newspaper, short stories were big back in those days, for magazines and newspapers both, and they'd buy them. So maybe he had to make a little extra cash, who knows?
Sure.
So there might be more stories.
Maybe more stories floating around, that might be my guess, he published one, there's more published.
His signature, is it in any caves that we know of other than Great Onyx and Salts? And
Running Branch,
what's that?
Running Branch.
Running Branch.
On
And
the north side.
I assume also Dossie Domes, is there a signature in there?
I don't think so, because he didn't allow people to do signatures in Dawson Dome.
Okay.
Now, maybe after he gave it up, whoever went in there, yeah, okay, they'll scribble them now, but not, that was my understanding, that he did not allow people to do that like they did now, in Colossus. Mainly it was fairly small, and it was a pretty cave. And some nice formations, he didn't want them marked up.
Yeah.
Sort of, we found Floyd's in Long Cave or Grand Avenue, but never found Edmund Turner.
Curious.
Yeah, and that's funny, I mean,
Yeah, seems like they were going together, but that was 1917 when I think Floyd had his signature.
oh, okay,
Edmund moved it.
yeah.
That's dead. We should probably bring this to a halt and visit with you all. You must be tired of sitting after an hour and a half. It's hard to listen.
I have one question to ask. It was the fifth president of the Cave Research Foundation, which will forever be known as that. But he really, so if Ellis Jones did not work on Charles Lindbergh's airplane, whose airplane did he work on? Whose airplane didn't he work on?
Everybody else's, there were a lot of biplanes there that had flown in, mostly Jenny. I'm sure he did. he would never fail to tell you he went to Embry Air University and learned all there was to know about flying at that time.
Ellis, so you want, you don't want Ellis Jones stories, do you? Oh, we've got lots of Ellis Jones stories.
So you guys kind of want to, at this point, if somebody may want to stand up and stretch or perhaps go to the men's bathroom, whatever. So you want to kind of do this on a casual, one-on-one basis now?